Greetings, everyone. I'm going to quote Malcolm X. He said the black woman in America was the most disrespected and also the one with the least protection. It was like that then, and it's still like that today. That's what I'm talking about in this video. Now, if I say something that offends you in this video, perhaps you shouldn't shoot the messenger. You should look at take a careful journey within and understand why what I say affects you so badly. If it's the truth, then what can you do? And if you think it's not the truth, then you have the liberty to defend yourself. I want to start out by saying this video is not for our wonderful African men around the world, men who love black women and men who honor and value the household or the family unit. This is not for you. So when I make statements here, they're going to be general statements, okay? Because I do understand there's a lot of black men that I respect um, to the max. And I always say when women say that they're not going to, surrender to a man, I got no problem surrendering to a man, to an African man, if he shows leadership in his household. He leads by example. Okay? So, the reason why I'm doing this topic is because I have a brief conversation with someone on my channel. And it's not that the conversation we had or what this person had to say was the first time I heard that. And I don't know if this person is male or female. It really doesn't matter. As I started out saying, the black woman is the most disrespected. And so we're not talking about being disrespected by other people. We're talking about being disrespected by our own. The black woman is disrespected by her son, by her brother, by her father, by the male she encountered in all avenues of life. And I am a black woman, a proud black woman, and I'm going to speak on behalf of our black women. And I want you to understand one thing. When I hear the argument about black women find themselves with all these children, find themselves abandoned because of their poor choices, it makes me want to laugh. And this morning, after seeing that comment for a long time, it made me cuss. Okay? Because I hear it one time too much. And the people who utter such nonsense or such disrespect towards their own women are men who are often very weak. And I'm going to use that mildly. Men who have found themselves in a position where they're not respected either. So sometimes they're not respected by women, they're not respected by men of other race. And I find the black men that do this have nothing respectful to say about black women, or are the first to come out and condemn the black woman. These ones are the ones in society that have nothing to show or nothing to demonstrate any form of strength, any form of anything for us as black women to look up to respect, to regard. The argument that the black woman deserves to be on her own, struggling with children by herself because of her poor choices, is ridiculous. Because if truth be told, in the country where I'm from, if every black woman in that space was to say, I'm looking for a man of integrity, I'm looking for a man, with dignity, I'm looking for a man who can be that leader in my household, then unfortunately a very small percentage of men in Jamaica would find or get women. If all these women were educated in such a way that they understood how to pick a life partner or mate, most of the men would either have to turn to each other or would be alone. because, again, I don't want to be disrespectful even to these ones, because we have to look at history. Okay? We have to look at history when we're having this conversation. And a lot of people claim that they're intelligent or intellectual, will come out here and utter these nonsense without taking a look at history, take a look at reality. Okay? So we're going to Jamaica. We're talking about Jamaican men and women. We're talking about African women wherever in the world that find themselves carrying children and having to be left with the burden of raising these children on their own. Please consider this as part 2 to yesterday's video. So the argument is put out here that the women are suffering, and they deserve to suffer because of their poor choices in men. And I am saying here, I am arguing here, that if all women were to be so trained that they understood how to pick a partner, most of you men would not have any woman. First and foremost, a lot of these women are so wounded. A lot of these women, from their infancy, from their very young, in a society like Jamaica, for example, where little girls are not even allowed to grow up, to mature, as soon as they start to any signs of puberty. Let me calm myself in this video. Big old ram goat men start to look at little girls in sexual ways. Some of these girls are violated in the household by family members, by friends. I have countless stories of individuals who have told me stories, young girls who I have documented their stories of abuse. So when these young girls grow in an environment where the father kicks and slaps them, the brothers do the same thing, other boys in the community start molesting them, family friends as well, start molesting them from a very young age. Where is this good self-esteem is going to come from? From the girls start to hit puberty, men start to program her to satisfy their carnal desires. So when a woman in a Jamaican space, for example, goes with one man, sometimes as a product of the big R, she sometimes conceives her first child, sometimes by brothers, as I said, family, friends, people she's supposed to trust, including fathers. When at 14 years old she gives birth to a child, do you expect her life to end and that she's never going to be in any more relationship after that? Because oftentimes her first experience is not one that she consented to. And that same female moves into a relationship of her own choice with a man who doesn't know how to respect women, including his mother. See, a lot of you black men that have these disrespectful things to say about black women, you need to go take it up with your moms. And the disrespect you're throwing out towards women is the one you feel towards your own mother, but you don't want to confront her. And I don't think you should confront her. What you need to do is help her tell her story. Give her an opportunity to tell you why she has 10 children for 10 different men. Because some of you want to come out here and throw your venom on other women, judging people without understanding their situation. Black women are no more looser than any other woman in the world. And black women don't have more kids more than other women, except for the fact that a lot of the ones who conceived these children didn't carry them full term, didn't choose to bring them into the world. So these children that these black women have for all these different men are here, and they're judged for having all these kids because you get to see that they've been in several different relationships. But there are many other women in the world who choose not to carry. They bury the seed before you get to see the deed. And I'm not here to bash any woman. Women make choices. You know, if a woman decides to carry a child into the world, it's a personal choice. It's a choice she makes for herself. It's her own body. She decides what she wants to do with it. But I'm just trying to say that the judgment and the disrespect that black women have to face, and the worst part of it, by our own men. You know, black men are forgetting to tell the stories in history where the black women have been the one in many circumstances and situations when they were cowering, when they were falling under the pressure and the load of oppression. Black women came forward and stood up and defended them. We got Queen Nzinga, we have Queen Nani. You can go back in history and name all these powerful black women. And now, if we wait to hear the story from the lips of our own men, you think we have no purpose. But the black woman is a symbol of greatness in the household. Even those who have made poor choices, as you want to call it, poor choices because, you know, they were seeking love. That's what it all comes down to. You have to contextualize it in the environment where someone is living. They're going to demonstrate certain things, and the woman who demonstrate this lack of self-esteem, will do things that someone who's had training and opportunity to see other ways of living would not make. The judgment and the disrespect towards black women will never stop until our men take responsibility for their own action. So the woman didn't get herself pregnant. The same man that sleep with 10 women is revered and respected, and the 10 women who he drops off his seed and abandon are left, bearing the brunt and the shame. Why? I don't have any patience for it anymore, because even me as a woman, you would look at another female and you would judge her situation to say, why you breed up and have all these kids? It's not that they don't have to take onus and responsibility, but remember, these things are a reflection of the society in which they live, one. And for every female that chooses not to, go from relationship to relationship, it takes self-esteem. It takes strength. And when a woman stays with one man and she's in an abusive relationship, and if he hurts her, or, worst, just imagine the worst, you say, why didn't she leave? A lot of people stay in these horrible relationships because they're going to be judged. When I was a young girl, it didn't occur to me that I could, get out of that bad situation and start my life with someone else because of the society that I grew up, and the labeling and the prejudice within myself based on what I heard and saw, people say about individuals who have multiple children with different fathers. I didn't want to be one of those statistics, but it didn't change. I became a single mother, just like some of those women who went with all these different men. My circumstance was no different. And you say because of poor choices. But the bottom line is, in the country where I come from, if I was to wait until I got the alpha male, and not even alpha male, that's not even a good word, because alpha male now are considered the men who get all the women, who have all the attributes to get the right women. And they get a pass. They're not loose. So one man impregnates 10 women, he's not loose. But the one woman who allows that same man to give her 2 children, she's loose. Or she's condemned. She's stupid. It takes time. Yes, these women could benefit from counseling so they can start respecting themselves, that they don't just because there are women who see themselves as valuable because they're able to bring children in the world. They think they're contributing, they're doing something. These women self-esteem sometimes is so bad that they feel like when they give birth to children that they're able to do something that gives them purpose. The thing is a lot more complex. And a lot of these men that are the first ones to come out and condemn these women are waste men. If you look into their history and their story, they got kids that I have not seen for years. There are men who couldn't go a day without seeing their child or their children. And some of you men skip from bed to bed to bed, and yet you're the first to come out with your self-righteousness, without knowing the woman's story, without understanding that some of these women are victims of child molestation, victims through and through. I remember a 12-year-old girl whose mom allowed her to go and stay with stepfather because she was so poor and couldn't afford it, and allowed this man to lure her into giving her daughter, only for that 12-year-old child to experience the worst kind of abuse from a 21-year-old man. And the 21-year-old man that was molesting that child got her pregnant at 14. And yet he would go marry someone, and you would look at him and he'd probably come around and judge that young girl who later on have 10 children. She's traumatized after what he did to her. It's because of black women why many of our households are standing. See, when the black man impregnates the black woman, he gets to go away and he gets to have a new start in life. But the woman chooses most of the time not to abandon her children. When the black man has the excuse to say, well, I can't get to be a part of my child's life because I don't have money, the black woman doesn't have that excuse. Her children have to be fed. And in my opinion, I don't care how broke you are, how sad your life is, how unfortunate it is. When you're a father, your responsibility is to take care of your children. You have no excuse. So you can't come here and try to disgrace the black woman, because even those who you claim have used poor judgment and have all these children, they're still standing by, doing the best that they can. And unfortunately, they encounter other black men who promise to do better by them. And in seeking help, these men, because there are some black men that are predators when it comes to being attracted to women or getting involved with women with multiple children. Some men deliberately go out and seek after women because they figure, for one, she has children and she might be able to get social assistance if she lived in parts like this. And, she could get free housing, and he could be a leech. The black woman is a backbone of the African People's Society. Sorry. Yes, different societies in the world. You can't shame us. You can't shame us. We will not allow you. Because while you're there criticizing us and shaming us as black women, you are nothing. You're not doing nothing with your life. Nothing. You continue to be the football of other men. Sucking it to you. You can't stand up. If it wasn't for black women in history and to this day who stand up and defend it, many of you, would continue to be treated like dogs, and some still are. Black woman, the first one to get up and stand up for her children and defend her children. When many of you men cower, many of you would say, let it go. So you can't shame us. At least we shouldn't allow you to shame us. Because even the one who you claim have used poor judgment could benefit from someone who can show her by example. So every strong black man who sees a black woman doing things that he thinks is not the best choice she's making in terms of having children out of so-called wedlock, or making having children that she can't afford, these ones will not look at her and talk to her in ways that make her feel like she's less than human. If he's a good man, he's going to talk to his sister and tell her that she's beautiful and that she has value and encourage her. And he's also going to treat his partner in a way that his sister will say, yes, that's how I want to be treated. If she grew up in a household and saw her father treating her mother or any other female that he was seeing with respect, she too would understand that she deserved that. So many of these women you're condemning are quick to come out here and judge with your self-righteousness, have you to thank for the way they are, because she's not sleeping by herself. She didn't conceive that child by herself. She did not use something that she bought in a store to impregnate herself. So where are these men? And when are they going to stand up and face the fact that many of them, allow that appendage to rule them? Many of them are ruled by the appendage, and they got nothing else to offer but that. And after they've offered it and they left their seed behind, they turn around looking at the black woman like she is the worst thing and that she should be the one to stand up and, be a woman and be respectful. How can you be respectful or no respect when all your life you've been violated and abused? How many strong black women are out there doing this thing on their own? We are the men. We are the black men. We don't see you when it's time to stand up and be a man. We only see you when you're ready to come and criticize your women. The black woman is considered the least attractive to all men. The black woman is seen as the least desirable to all men, including our own. The black man will treat his woman, the mother of all his children, in a degrading way. And then he'll get involved with a woman from a different culture, a different race, and treat her like she's queen. He will sleep in the same bed with her and her dog, even as he abandoned his own children. What you saying? What are you saying? So the black woman walks out of a bad relationship and she's condemned for doing so and blamed for breaking up her household. And if she stays, she's blamed, she's a fool. And many of you men who are very bitter because, for whatever reason, you think you have so much to offer, but women are not interested in you because you have some parts of you that are filthy, that are dirty, and women don't want to be with you. And so you're angry. You've had bad experiences with women who've dumped you because you think that you are perfect and you're not. And so the rest of the women have to bear the brunt, of your shame or your rage. You can't shame us. We're not really supposed to allow you to shame, because every time you come to say, look at her with all these children, she's made poor choices, and she didn't get herself pregnant. And black women are very loyal to black men. So, she leaves one bad relationship with a person who is, broken. And she goes to someone else who is as broken or worse. She is not in the position to say that this man has to have all these wonderful qualities, because most of our men in different parts of the world are broken. So while a woman could benefit from counseling, these things take time. These wounds take a long time to heal. And a lot of you men who come with your quick judgment, if someone were to put your life under a microscope, we would see how you have contributed to many of these women's brokenness. And you yourself is a victim because your father wasn't there, and his father wasn't there, and his father's father. And where did that come from? Hmm? In a place like Jamaica, where people were brought from different places in the world. Some want to say, well, the African people in Jamaica were always the indigenous people. Who cares? That's not my debate right now. Based on my history, that I believe, when you have generation and generation of people watching their families get ripped apart, whether it be from the slave trade or it being from, people having to go away from their household. Men for years have had to go on the farm work program so that they can provide for their family. That family unit has been broken from way back when for different reasons, economic reasons and all that. And so the family ties are weak to begin with. And women have always had to be in this survival mode. Long after slavery is abolished, we are abandoned by our men. And sometimes they are in the household, but they still abandon you. And I say history have a lot to do with this. And I also have to say that people often emulate what they see. And so my current partner, saw his father as a dedicated father. See his father in a society like Jamaica having all his children with one woman and being a dedicated, loyal family man. But he didn't just see his dad, he also saw his grandfather, a loyal, dedicated husband. And that's where he learns. He learns the importance of being a good father and a dedicated father in that regard. So many of these men that are saying these negative things about Black women, they come from broken homes. Their fathers come from broken homes. And a lot of anger and resentment builds up. And what do? They repeat the pattern year in and year out. So before you start talking about the Black woman and that she's loose, please ask yourself, who she been loose with? And look at the men who see her with 5 kids and goes there and leave her with another one. Is it just her responsibility? And if you're looking at all the women who are supposed to be smarter or know better, if all these women were to pick the right man for themselves, many of you would be alone, and many of you deserve to be alone. So in some regard, I'm hoping that the women will eventually find peace within themselves, to reflect upon their own lives, and to love the children that they already got, and to protect themselves in a way that they don't bring any more children to suffer. But I'm not going to condemn her, because every person has their own individual story, and everybody has hurt. And many of us who had the opportunity to leave out of small environments and explore and travel around the world and understand that there's an alternative way of living, and understand that there are other opportunities that would not allow us to have all these different children. And we would choose based on these freedoms to do better, and we do better. But it's not for us to come and judge and label anybody and act like we're righteous. Because some of you men who are here condemning this lady, saying she has all these kids, your own mama, who you claim you love and respect, has all these children. Her history is not different from the women you criticize out here. Are you judging her too? Or you just got strength for somebody else because they're not related to you? The black woman, there's a song which Shaggy says, God must be a woman. The black woman have had to deal with all kinds of things. And the way she comes through these storms, none of you have the right to even call her name in any disrespectful way. Because many of you are not living by example. You have no business, no right to try to condemn the black woman. Because if it wasn't for us, your seeds, your offsprings would die. Who are you to be judging her and talking all these things when you yourself have done what your father have done and your father's fathers have done before you? In a culture or a small country like Jamaica, it's a disgrace to see how many women are raising children on their own. And it's not just in that space, in America, anywhere black people live. Those who have made a conscious decision, and a lot of time because of the positive influence that they have had in their own households, and those who didn't have it and have decided that they're going to, be a positive role model in the life of their children, are few and far between. And to those I say, bless up yourself, big up yourself. A lot of men don't understand that not because you're not with a woman anymore, you have to be an absent father. Sometimes relationships don't work out and people move on. People have a right to seek love. Some have the wherewithal to say, you know what? I'm going to spend time loving me. But it takes years for you to get to that point, to build that kind of self-esteem when you have a history or you're used to being in an environment where women are treated less than. Black women are the most disrespected and the least protected. And we can count on most of our men to continue to push us down and rub our faces in the ground, even when we're trying so hard. And I say we, because I'm including myself in all of these. We're all women. But things are changing. I believe things will change. And I'm saying if a woman has 10 children with 10 different men, that doesn't make her worse than any other woman. Eventually, she grows. She learns. And if you want her to be a better woman, start being a better man.